Single mom, Katie Sullivan thanks her friends for deciding to go and celebrate with her. The heroine has become a school principal and believes that without the support of Megan and Stacy, she would be unlikely to have achieved this. The air conditioning in the room doesn't work, and the women decide to call a hotel employee. Meanwhile, a new employee, Ian Johnson, shows up at the front desk. Her friends hint to Kathy that it's about time she had a little fun after her divorce. Ian enters the room and all three women stare at him, slightly embarrassed. Kathy saves the guy from too much attention and tells him that other than fixing the air conditioner, they don't need anything else. Soon the heroine leaves Megan and Stacy and decides to go for a little swim before bed. Near the pool, Katie runs into Ian. The guy is sitting motionless underwater, and the heroine decides to come to his aid. However, Ian assures the lady that everything is fine, and he is just relaxing like that. The guy openly flirts with Katie and offers to escort her to her room. Ian thinks that they can just chat and have a drink, or do something more interesting with mutual desire. However, in the room, the guy becomes more insistent again and kisses Kathy. The heroine succumbs to his tricks and decides to forget about her husband for a while. The couple moves to the bedroom, but Kathy does not notice how the guy puts a phone on the table with the camera turned on. All the details of Ian's stormy night are videotaped. Finally, morning comes. Katie wakes up and sees a note on the bed. "I will never forget this night and you." A red rose lies next to it. At the front desk, Megan thanks Ian for helping with the air conditioning, but the employee is confused and says she doesn't know anyone by that name. Katie is sure it's just a misunderstanding, and maybe the guy got the job recently. Stacy says she saw Ian leaving the heroine's hotel room this morning. Meanwhile, the guy gives the uniform and the bag to a real hotel employee and thanks him for the little scam. After getting in the car, Ian looks at a picture of a pretty blonde and says he'll be coming for her soon. Meanwhile, Katie returns home after her impromptu vacation. The heroine meets her daughter Bree, the same girl from Ian's photo. The girl admits that she is sad to say goodbye to her father and notices that Katie has changed since the trip. Meanwhile, Ian arrives at an unremarkable house. When he enters, he takes a look around and displeases the owner, Boom Lee. Ian lashes out at his stepfather and hopes that he has not forgotten to take care of Mother. The boy insults Boom endlessly, treating both him and his business with contempt. Ian visits his mother, June, and talks to her affectionately. The boy promises that soon she won't have to put up with Boom. Lastly, Ian pulls a teddy bear from the shelf. September 1st is coming. Bree, who is working with a speech therapist, is worried about her new school and her classmates, but her mother tells her to calm down and hurry up because the principal and her daughter can't be late on the first day. In front of the school, Katie suddenly notices a smiling Ian in the crowd of students, but in a second he disappears. In the principal's office, the heroine immediately gets a lot to do. Bree, visibly nervous, looks for a place in the classroom and sits down at the last desk. The local queen, Leslie, is going to befriend the headmaster's daughter for selfish purposes. Unexpectedly, a tardy Ian shows up to class. Leslie remembers that she saw him at some party, and he used to study at another school. The guy takes an empty seat next to Bree and immediately gets acquainted with her. After class, Bree is introduced to Leslie, as well as her boyfriend Steve and friend Gina. Bree is invited to join the cheerleading team. From stress, the girl begins to stutter, which amuses Steve. Bree is interceded for by an unexpected Ian. However, he quickly disappears as soon as Katie is in his sights. Leslie apologizes for the guy's behavior and ingratiates herself with the heroine. Kathy agrees to let her daughter go with the cheerleaders to the pizza parlor. Meanwhile, Ian once again lashes out at Steve and demands that he leave Bree alone. The guy finds Katie's daughter at the pizzeria again and has a nice conversation with her. Leslie tells them that there is a party at Gina's house this weekend. Ian promises to come and tells Bree that they should see each other more often. At home, the girl tells Katie that she had a good time but is still not sure about her new friends. Also, Bree mentions that she met a cute guy, but it probably won't work out with him. Suddenly, Katie gets an "I'm still thinking about you" text from Ian. The next day, the guy is just as persistent in his courtship of Bree, which angers Leslie. Ian takes a girl to a literature class. In the classroom stands Kathy, who falls into a stupor, seeing the former employee of the department and realizing that he is still very young and in addition, studying at her school. Ian looks the heroine in the eye with a haughty and defiant smile. A bewildered Kathy returns to the office and learns from Miss Truman that Ian is a very troubled student who has promised that he will not pick any more fights. However, the woman still suspects he's a bad guy and advises her to keep an eye on Bree. When Ms. Truman leaves, the heroine calls Megan and tells her what she's had. Her friend promises to come to dinner and asks Katie to pull herself together. Left alone, the heroine looks through Ian's personal file. Meanwhile, the guy continues to actively communicate with Bree and convince her that there is a connection between them. Suddenly, from the office window, they are noticed by Katie. Worried about her daughter, the heroine throws all the cases and goes to the street. Katie takes Bree away and asks her to stop communicating with Ian. The guy himself comes home and talks to June. Ian promises that he will avenge everything on the heroine and save Bree. Meanwhile, Katie has a big fight with her daughter, but realizes that she is obliged to shield her from Ian's bad influence. The heroine sees her ex-husband and tells him that she has had a very difficult day. Katie considers whether to tell Bree the truth about the reason for the breakup, but the man insists that everything must remain in the past. Meanwhile, Ian stalks Bree and follows her father's car. The girl is still sad because of her mother's request, and because of this, the dinner goes somewhat stiffly. Unexpectedly, Ian appears in the restaurant, and Bree decides to discreetly communicate with the guy. Megan learns about the situation and asks how far the heroine is willing to go to protect her daughter and his reputation. Meanwhile, Bree's father notices his daughter with Ian and takes her back to the table. The man takes the girl home and tells Katie about the incident. The heroine decides to act and sneaks into the school at night, after which she breaks into Ian's closet and puts some kind of a package under him. The next day, Bree is still not talking to her mother, believing that her mother is being selfish and wrong. Katie tries to establish contact with her daughter and instill in her that it is dangerous to communicate with Ian. However, this causes the girl only irritation. During lessons, students hear a message about checking lockers. The guard finds a weapon in Ian's possession. The man takes him away from lessons and escorts him to Katie's office. The heroine takes to blackmailing Ian, as he could go to jail for it. In the conversation, Katie mentions that the guy needs to take care of his mother. Ian gets angry and informs her that he would do anything for the ones he loves. Katie asks him to stay away from Bree, but the guy doesn't give up and tells her that the night at the hotel wasn't an accident. Ian believes that people who post photos of their lives on social networks are extremely stupid because they can easily be tracked down by anyone. It was from her page that the guy found out that Katie was going to be the principal. For the sake of meeting her, Ian begged to leave him for the second year so that he could transfer to a new school. The guy recounts his entire plan, but Katie doesn't understand why she deserved such an attitude. Then Ian shows her another compromat, a recording of that fateful night in the hotel. The guy demands $50,000, and then he will not show this video to anyone and leave Bree alone. Katie claims she can't meet these demands, and they are in a stalemate. The heroine doesn't fall for Ian's threats, expels him from the school and asks the guard to escort the guy outside the building. The angry guy gets into a car and drives away. Gina, who is in love with him, decides to follow to find out what happened. Katie tells her daughter about Ian's expulsion. Bree is angry, since only the guy was interested in her fate. Ian gets home and confronts his stepfather, who taunts him about being expelled again. Guy talks to his mother and promises that he can protect her and his sister Bree. Meanwhile, Gina also gets to Ian's house and thinks about what to do. The girl goes inside and tells her feelings to the guy. However, Ian chases her away and threatens that if Gina tells anyone about what she saw, her face will meet his bat. Back home, the boy destroys his stepfather. The next day, Bree has another dry conversation with her mother. Katie talks to Megan and tries to understand why Ian chose her for his strange games and manipulations. The heroine is sure that it's not just a coincidence. Ian sneaks into the school again and now takes Bree with him. Gina sees this, but remembering the threats, she decides to keep silent. Ian asks Bree to come with him and skip class because he has something very important to say to her. Katie loses her daughter and finds out where she is from Gina. Ian blackmails the woman again, ordering her to deliver the money to him within 2 hours. The guy drives Bree away and tells her they're related. Ian is convinced that Katie spent the night with his father And that's what caused that fateful fight in the car, and then tragedy. That tragedy happened 17 years ago when Ian's mother suspected her husband of cheating on her with Katie, and they were in a car accident. Bree cries and asks to be let go, as she is sure it is not true. The girl tries to escape, but she fails. Soon, Katie arrives and learns the truth. Felix's son was named Derek, but Ian stopped using that name. The guy threatens Bree, and Katie throws herself at him. They end up flying out the window together. One of the fallen, namely Katie, manages to survive. Bree admits that she was wrong and hopes that her mother will soon recover. A couple months later, the heroine's family is reunited. This is the end of the movie. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like, write in the comments what you think about this movie, and see you in new videos.